something that kept me coming back to teaching when when it was really hard and it was really kind of mentally and emotionally exhausting, something that kept me coming back to the classroom was that it really exercised my creativity. It made me think about how to figure out what the problem was. Like, is the problem me? Is the problem the book? Is it that this class is way too advanced for the students? Or is it how I'm approaching it? Or is the content uninteresting? So I felt like it met my needs to be creative, because I don't know, I just like creating things. So I felt like I didn't know that was a huge part of being teaching. I kind of anticipated that it might be, but I thought ultimately when it came down to it, I was probably just going to teach straight out of the book. And then I'd always come to those books and I'd be like, oh, this is so boring. Like, I can make these so much better. And then I'd end up, the book was a nice starting point for me a lot of the time, but then I would just kind of, explode it out into something a little differently. Has that been your guys' experience, where the book is kind of inspiration and then you kind of turn it into something else?
I definitely think creative problem solving is definitely it's something I'm good at, and it's why I think I'm a good teacher.
Yeah.
That's definitely a key component. And if you don't enjoy doing that, then you're probably not going to like teaching, and you're probably not going to be that good at it.
Yeah, I agree that is one of the draws, I guess, is that there's always a better way to do it than what you're doing it. So you've tried it this way, and now how can I tweak it and change it and get it? There's always going to be some of those students that don't get it. So how can I make it better for the ones that still aren't getting it with this new way that I tried it, try it a new way, and see if more students get it that way. So I think it's a constantly in revision. And that helps keep it new each time. Like Julie said, it's different enough each time, because we can make it different enough each time. And there's always new technology, new things coming out to try, finding better ways to do it. I also like planning. So my favorite part is the week before classes start, where I get to plan out the term.
Because it goes so perfectly in your planning, right, Sarah?
All good.
Yeah.
I always have to change my plan, but I do enjoy the initial, but again, it's a problem solving thing. We've got 7 weeks, sometimes 6 weeks to figure out how to get all of this into there with these assessments. So it's still a problem solving and planning issue of how do I plan everything into this time frame.
Yeah. Something that I've noticed that definitely changed over time when I think about how I started teaching and later on in my teaching career. When I started teaching, I would write every single thing out, because it gave me that security that I needed to know, like, okay, everything's going to be okay. You're going to go up there, you're going to do this thing. These are the things you're going to do, and it's going to be fine. Because I think at the beginning, I had a lot of anxiety about just totally messing the whole class up. And then after I messed the whole class up a couple times, I was like, oh, well, I'm still alive and they're still alive and they still are coming back and they still find me to be a knowledgeable person. So that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
So I would say after 2 years of kind of constantly writing stuff out, the lesson plan just got shorter and shorter and shorter, because I felt more confident that the stuff that I needed to make it come to life and make it effective was becoming part of that procedural memory, And then in the last year that I was teaching, it was literally just like a Post-it with some bullets on it. Because I'd done all the planning before the class started, like Sarah said, okay, these are my objectives. And I know that here throughout the course, I'm going to do these things, and I'll just write on my Post-it what I'm going to do and come to class with that. And I would always have, and I couldn't always do it with a new class. With a new class, I would often want better lesson plans. But if it was something that I taught 2 or 3 times, this was plenty. So it sounds like you guys had something similar happen to you.
Mine was almost reverse, but I think it was because of the type of program that I was in. So the first intensive English program was very book-based. And so it was a lot easier to go in without plans, because it was basically, I'm going to do this chapter and these pages, and maybe occasionally I would bring in, you know, some other activities and stuff, but it was mostly just going through the book, because we got our outcomes from the book. So whatever the book we were teaching, that's how we decided, well, here's what they should know by the end. But now we are, you know, we're flipped, we're backward design. So now I do more planning, but it is still mostly just a list of here's what I'm going to do, unless I haven't taught it before, and then I'll flesh that out a little bit more. But I didn't do a lot of planning, I think, at first, because it was just, you know, follow the book, do this in the book. I didn't need plans for that.
Well, the book, whoever wrote the book got paid to write the book. So it must be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say the biggest difference between me as a new teacher and me as a teacher now is, like, we talked about, you know, all that creative problem solving. In the beginning, like, you don't have that confidence, and you have this guilt. You say, oh, the problem is me because I'm new.
Yes.
Like, that's your first thought. It's like, I'm not doing this correctly. And so, yeah, you start doing that creative problem solving, and you learn. Then as you grow in your profession, like, you learn, okay, this time the problem's me, or the problem's the book, or they just don't care. It's their motivation.
Or it's summer.
Yeah. Their parents are forcing them to do this.
Oh my God.
On their summer break, and they don't want to be here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely something that evolved over time. I consider myself an over planner. So I would, like you, it wasn't so much that I had detailed lists in the beginning, but I had all these contingency plans. Like, I would always have to think ahead, like, okay, if this fails, then I can do this. And then if that fails, I'll do this. You know what I mean? So I had all these, like, contingency plans. So I think as I grew, I learned to focus in, you know what I mean? I don't need to completely, like, change courses. I just need to nudge it this way or that way. You know what I mean? If something's not working, you know, so I realized I didn't need to have those extensive plans on plans on plans. I just needed to change the method in which I was doing it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're sitting and sleeping on their phones. Okay, and I'm going to make them do same activity, but now we're going to stand up and move around. You know, changing things like that. I didn't realize the power of group dynamics until I started teaching.
Oh yeah.
Environment.